well, what if, it doesn't work out? Like, who cares? You could die tomorrow. Are you actually going to care in 5 minutes, 5 years, 5 decades? But I think I would care if I didn't do the thing, if I didn't put myself in that position. And like, the failure is where you have the most growth. And you can't be afraid of that.
Hey everybody, I'm Danielle Thompson, the host of Women Unlocking Wealth, and I'm super excited today to have Kathy Samaan with me today. And she is the CEO and principal of the Samaan Design Group. And so tell us a little bit about yourself and what you're passionate about and what you do.
Where do I begin? That list is long. So obviously I'm really deeply passionate about intentionality in everything that I do. And I think it starts from there, not only in my design work, but in my construction company and just the way I lead my team, and also in the way that we help our clients. I think that's the biggest impact that we are able to have. And it's the intentionality around neuroscience and the way we apply those principles and all these like layered components. And so I'm passionate about a lot of things. I mean, art is art, creation is creation. And I think using your intentionality in all of those ways is how you build empires.
That's amazing. And so you have 2 companies?
I have 2 companies.
So what are the companies?
Samaan Design Group is the design firm. And then I have SDGC, which is basically our ability to hire our own subs on projects that we are privately doing for certain clients and do the build out for them as well. So, yeah.
Wow. How did you get into this?
I used to do my own flips. In
your 20s?
Yeah, my 20s. I moved around a lot, would buy, a home, renovate, live in it for like a year or 2, and then sell it off. And I did that for 9 years. And I would basically have my homes hit the market and then be under contract within 3 days. I mean, I'm talking, this is like 2014, 2015, not nowadays. Now that's like completely, relevant. But back then that wasn't something that happened often. And what I learned through those things was, one, that I definitely had a knack for what I was doing and understood a lot of components that other people didn't, just intuitively. And then from there, I learned to sort of understand different markets because I never did a flip in the same state.
Oh, wow.
So I was able to pick apart certain things and do the research that it took to have a flip that would be successful. So I would look at maps and I would see, okay, well, there's only 2 homes in this entire radius that are for sale. Like, I want one of those 2 because I know on the back end, on the resale end, that it will definitely go faster. So there's a lot of things that I was able to gain access to by doing those things in my early 20s. And they took me forward in a way that I don't think I could have foresaw at the time, but are amazing things that I look back on now and understand. Like, I needed to go through those things and needed to learn those things innately to come back and be able to do all these other things now.
Yeah.
And my family also does redevelopment. And so when I moved finally back, and now that I'm able to sort of step into the roles within my family as well, it's been amazing. Like, we did a 250 unit, 5 building project.
Oh, wow.
And I was able to do all the design. And with the intentionality that I bring, it's a completely different project than anything they've done without me. So I was able to take like the history of the city and bring it into the way we design certain things and the history of what that land was before it was redeveloped, which was railroads. And so we were able to brand the buildings using all the history and all the impact that would have to sort of say, hey, like, this did used to have all these things and it did, serve its purpose for the community. And now we can have it remain as part of that history, but now utilize it in a better way for the community. So
that's incredible.
Thank
So it's
you.
like you just walk into a room and you probably can see and envision exactly what the room should look like based off of like what is going on in the city. You're really intelligent, and especially, so your family did redevelopment. So what did that entail?
That's a whole bag. It depends on the project, but essentially what they focus on is affordable housing on the mid-rise scale, which means nothing that's over 50 units. So it's,
Okay.
between 30 and 50 units essentially. And they find parcels, and sometimes it's literally like a garbage dump.
Mm.
And we have to assess it for environmentals, and we have to go through this process, which is beautiful that I was able to witness all of those things. I haven't done anything of that caliber on my own yet,
Mm-hmm.
but that is the goal for my
You got
companies to,
this.
yeah. I think the goal for my companies is to be able to make investments like that. I think the biggest impact you can have on a community is actually doing those things, and
Mhm.
not necessarily on a luxury scale, because those are for certain select people, but on that, affordable housing side, I
Mhm.
mean, that's massive for communities. That also allows you to have commercial spaces on the first floor of those buildings and bring in, retailers, and bring in things that the community is missing and could have access to. As well as when you are doing a redevelopment, you can add things on that maybe the community didn't even think of.
Mhm.
Wellness spaces for everyone to use, or adding a park, or, 20 different things, right? Like, having something on the rooftop even sometimes allows for those communities to now have a space to commune and have parties, or, you know, have a better life
Mhm.
for what they were previously having access to.
Yeah, totally. Is there like certain features that you've seen in multifamily or even apartments or lower income housing or whatever that looks like that are like a must? Like, when you buy a house and they're like, oh, you want to have a tub in the master. Like, what is there like any rules that when people are investing in these properties that they should be looking for as soon as they walk in? Like, should each room have so and so in it and stuff like that, or
Uh,
not really?
I think when you're talking about a real estate investment and what
Yeah.
you're looking for on the lower income housing, it's more about, is the flow correct?
Mm.
If you have a space that is designed, right, and they put a random water closet like in the, I don't know, in between the living room and the kitchen, like that doesn't make sense. Why is that water heater in the middle of this space, right?
Yeah.
And I've seen plans like that, and I don't even understand how an architect could look at this and be like,
Mhm.
this is a great idea. But those are the case. And I think if you understand what the end user needs, and it's more about their needs than what makes sense for you,
Mhm.
I think that's really the element that I would focus on when you're
Mhm.
building those things. You need security. You need a mailroom where your packages won't get stolen,
Mm.
right? There are things that you have to think of on a affordable housing side that you may not need or require at the luxury level, or in a different capacity.
Mhm.
It's on the luxury side, they may have lockers where you have to put in a code and things like that.
Mm.
But when the budget's smaller because it's lower income housing, maybe you need to be buzzed into the room, but
Mhm.
then other people have access to that room. So there's things that you have to incorporate and understand from an economics standpoint. Like, that's a different set of scope and things that you consider when
Mhm.
you are building out those two
Yeah.
types of spaces. So
Yeah,
it's
interesting.
interesting.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, because like when I was looking at a bunch of new builds, like I was looking at all these different builders, and I would be like, why did they do this here? Like, it doesn't make sense for the space wise. Like, I can't really
Mhm.
leverage that much.
Mhm.
And so, like, yeah, it's interesting. Even as a homeowner investor, is like, no, I want it this, and this, and it's really fun for you because you have an eye for interior design to go in and be like, I could see this here and I could see this here. I don't have an eye for that. I need somebody to do that for me. So it's a really cool skill set that you have, that you're not just a creative, but you're intelligent. And so you're like strategic on where you're even looking for homes to buy, and
Mhm.
with it only have two in the area. So what states have you bought and flipped homes in?
New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Ohio, and soon Florida.
Oh, cool. Yeah. Florida's fun. I had a family reunion vacation there,
Love it.
and we were thinking about investing property there because, like, right by Disney World, they have like these beautiful mansions and they have like the game rooms in it.
Yeah.
And it's just so much fun because you can customize it in any way. But that would be really cool. So you're thinking about like going to Florida. What
So
about the West Coast?
I definitely have been trying to inch my way this way.
Yep.
And on the investment side,
Mhm.
I do work all over the country on the
That's so
design
cool.
side. So we already do projects in Florida with builders and things like that. And I
Cool.
think to your point, you said, why does this make sense here or
Mhm.
not here, right? Maximizing the layout and doing a layout audit is something that we help our builders do because it's really important. And I think the way that my firm has sort of like stood out is that we will present to a client like, hey, these are the 6 floor plans that I think work, but what's your end user? What's the most important to them? What can we apply here in these spaces in order to have them maximize either their profit or their ability to enjoy the space, or bring some of the outside inside, applying some of those neuroaesthetic principles that I kind of was touching on with you, and applying all of that to what they're doing. Because even though it's a builder home, it doesn't need to feel builder grade. And I think we've lost that somewhere. Everything has a lot of sameness right now.
Yep.
I think every high rise on the luxury side feels literally the same.
Yeah.
And it's because like they want it to go to market and people will just customize it. But no, why not just buy something that feels right to you and go in knowing like, this isn't builder grade. I don't have to dump another 300 grand in here to make it feel like home, right? It already is at a top tier price point with the market the way it is and the interest rates this high. And I think considering that you can tweak things on the build side, I had a builder who I just presented a packet to, and he was going to list the home at 1.8 million. We did the presentation and presented that packet, and he's like, no, I want to list it at 2.3. So I just put $500,000 worth of equity into his pocket by tweaking the design.
Wow.
That's still marketable. However, it has all these elements that elevate the space and the luxury. I'm talking about a luxury space, but that's how you can do it with anything that you're doing. Having the right skill set, both on the lower income housing side, because I've seen when we have to watch the budget so closely and understanding, well, what can I implement that doesn't cost a lot but looks really great? Sometimes you can do that with paint, right? And those are simple things that not a lot of people consider or think are, well, if I paint it this color, then it won't be marketable. Like, who said that? Who made that rule? I don't play by anybody's rules. We kind of created this roadmap for investors who are doing flips or new builds and things like that, so that they can maximize their profits and bring a better product to the market. And then they stand out in what they're doing, and they're not like everybody else, and their homes don't sit for a couple of months, and they get higher tickets because of that. So I'm very passionate about nothing should be cookie cutter. I think that it's a big problem in my industry, and it's a big problem on the build side. Some of the things that I see are travesties. I'm like, how are you going to bed at night? You just sold this house at $3 million and like it looks haphazardly put together.
Oh my gosh.
And people will buy it because they're like, well, it's enough and I'll figure out the rest. Why? Why are we doing this? So to me, like my passion is there. And because you can actually, my other passion is like the neuroscience side where you can heal your space, you can heal your body through your spaces.
I love it.
Yeah. So
That's
I think
amazing.
applying a lot of those principles too. And it's sometimes simple things that we as designers do innately. I can tell you, like bringing in wood or different types of greenery or different types of colors, different repetitive patterns create a way for your body to come into alignment.
Wow.
So applying those things, I use it so much that I drive my team insane.
I love that.
Because I push them for excellence because I expect that for myself. And so having like repetitive patterns is the way our brains process a lot of things. And so like when we're doing a home, whether that's for a builder or personal client, if we're creating a lot of curvilinear things, then we replicate that pattern in multiple ways. That can be with the archways that we're putting in. That can be with the floor patterns we're allowing to be in the space. That's with the furniture that we're selecting. It can be with the light fixtures that we're putting in. And we're sitting in this gorgeous space. There's a lot of repetitive patterns that to me stand out, but to other people, they wouldn't see. There's chairs in here that have a curved back. We're sitting in a booth that has a curvilinear shape to it. And so there's things that allow us to feel safe, and that safety creates that nervous system to come into that alignment and feel like, okay, I can either relax here or feel like I can build memories here and enjoy what I'm supposed to be enjoying and not have a disrupted nervous system because I have a lot of that newer age like minimalism. That's not actually good for your nervous system. It's actually very disruptive if not done well. Yes. So, there are things that we can do as designers and construction, people in construction that have a wellness factor to it. And that's really cool.
I love that. That's so next level too and innovative because I think of feng shui, but it's not the same because yours is architectural. Like, so you're like creating the curvature and like the different elements in the homes. I love that. It's incredible. The wellness piece is definitely a differentiator. So one of the things that I saw was like, because we were renting out mansions to do our video retreats in. And so we got to see all these different ones. Like we stayed at a chateau. We stayed at a bunch of mansions in La Jolla, California. Have you been?
Yeah, I love it there.
It's so beautiful.
It's amazing.
The seals and
everything.
The vibe is great. But there's a lot of like affluent homes out there that are really outdated looking, like inside. And you wouldn't even know anything else because you just see this beautiful scenery. But at the same time, you go in, you see the furniture even, and you're like, oh my gosh, this needs to be swapped out and changed. And especially if they're looking at selling the home for more than it's, even worth, like you would come in and walk in and give them the consulting and advice on what they can do. Or do you do the renovations for them too, if they wanted to?
We can.
Okay.
We definitely have a lot of trade partners that we work with as well in the states that we don't have the GC licensing in. And I think when we come into those spaces and we are working with somebody who either wants to refresh their space or wants to have an end goal of selling, especially on a top tier market, we look at not just the furnishings, but what can we tweak that's there to make it look fresh and new. Sometimes it's just painting cabinets. Sometimes it's changing out hardware. And it can be these smaller details that make a big impact. And I think people forget that, right? Like I kind of joke that the hardware, for instance, is like the jewelry for your home. And so you never complete an outfit without something on, right? You sort of feel like naked in a way. And having something that stands out in that way, like Modern Matter is one of my favorite collections of hardware for homes. It's definitely on the higher end, but theirs feels really luxe. And when I say that, it's because it's different. It's not stuff that you're going to find on build.com. It's not going to be something that's cookie cutter from Amazon or from Wayfair. And just adding that detail and swapping that out can make your kitchen feel, 20 years newer than it was originally. And sometimes mixing old and new gives you enough contrast to be interesting.
Yeah.
So I think having all these elements and understanding all the layers is important when you're working with those types of clients.
That's so cool. So I just want to tie this back into Women Unlocking Wealth and how you've literally grown two freaking successful, amazing businesses. Like, I'm so proud of you. I just met you, but yeah, that's like really cool. And with you being young and it's incredible. So what were some of the things that you feel like you failed on or like you could have did better or
That's a powerful question. What are the things that I failed on? I think I failed on, and I don't see failure the way other people see failure. I love to fail because it moves the needle forward for me. But one of the biggest things that I've talked about previously on other shows and things is I actually got myself into a situation with a very affluent 7-figure client. And I was so anxious every time they would call or text or I didn't really understand certain things at the time that I took them on. And having that failure at that level and, being in the I was supposed to make money on that project and I was in debt after that
Oh,
project.
no.
So, those learning lessons are deeply impactful, and understanding that you're always learning the things you need for the next step, and not being afraid, even though you can get yourself in debt and you can always make more money. Like, I'm never afraid of that. And I think other people, when you're leading with fear, you don't put your best foot forward, and you can't always understand. Like, you have to hit pause sometimes, and the power of that, and understanding like, okay, well, I feel so uneasy with this, and sometimes people can't sit with the uncomfortableness. I love sitting in discomfort. I
It's taken
love
me a
it.
while to get used to that.
And it's okay. And I
Yeah.
think we shy away from it because we're like, well, what if, it doesn't work out? Like, who cares? You could die tomorrow. Are you actually going to care in 5 minutes, 5 years, 5 decades? But I think I would care if I didn't do the thing, if I didn't put myself in that position. And like, the failure is where you have the most growth, and you can't be afraid of that.
Yeah.
And I don't know that most people have had my life experience. And so that's probably why I'm a little bit more, I guess, risk tolerant, if you will.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I was talking to my business partner. I was like, I do not have the high level of tolerance that you have. Like, I've taken risk, but it's getting a little crazy lately. But no, I don't really look at failure as a thing. I think when you say you fail, that means like that's the moment that you like give up. So like you're basically just like learning, and you're building off of that. And that's what makes a lot of the entrepreneurs successful, is you just keep going no matter what.
Yeah.
So it's really cool to meet you. And I'm so excited to have
Thank
you
you for
on.
having
How
me.
can our viewers find you on social?
So there's 2. There's Samaan Design Group. We're mostly on Instagram, but you can also follow my personal page, the Kathy Samaan, and we're on Facebook, LinkedIn. Find us everywhere.
Awesome. Well,
Thank
it's
you.
our pleasure to have you on Women Unlocking Wealth. And until next time, we'll see you then.